Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome back. I'm going to do another Chapter 3, Part 3 of the Going Back to Green, trying to get our journey back from some of the things that people have experienced. I myself, like I said, I suffer from a lot of the ills of exposure, but it's not something that we can't overcome and can't rejoin society. I don't think we're ever going to be perfect. I think no one is perfect. It depends on your interpretation of the word. But we do have a sense of what we used to be like before that. Now, for me, like I said, I've been in this since I was 19, so it's kind of hard for me to say I have a reference of what I was before. I think this is always what I've been for most of my life. But that brings me to a point. So the very first installment, we kind of talked about going back to green, and like I said, for those who might be trying to reach out to a loved one or whatever, green, amber, red are the three different weapon statuses. Green is like your no weapon, no magazine in the weapon on safe. Amber, magazine in the weapon on safe. Red is a magazine in the weapon with a round chambered, but the weapon's still on safe. And I use that analogy from those of us who come back from the war or different conflicts, even something that may have happened in your personal life. We tend to live in the amber zone, and we're only a second away from somebody aggravating us or doing something that doesn't that we don't sit well with us, and we go straight to red. So my goal is to try to help us to find things that remind us of that green area. When we get to putting our selector switch on safe, there's no magazine, where we know that the things that aggravate us aren't manifested in something that was in a combat environment. All right, and I use an analogy. If you're at work and you're having a meeting and for some reason you think this decision should be made already, and the civilians and the other people that haven't served with you are still debating it or whatever, remember this: they grew up in a democratic society. The military is not democratic. As much as civilians now are trying to turn it into a democratic society, it's not. It was never intended to be a democratic society. An army cannot function in a democratic society. If you have 50 people trying to weigh in on how something should be done, you're never going to get the mission done, and somebody could die. So no, you have to learn to struggle to become a leader. You not struggle, but strive to become a leader. The natural attributes of a leader come out of you, and then you make the decisions. People will naturally follow you if the decisions you make are on a good run, and they'll follow you. If you make poor decisions all the time, you're probably not going to find a lot of people who are going to follow you, or they'll do it begrudgingly. But I say that to say this. So I was talking with a guy I work with, a real good guy. His name's Drew Dugan. I want to try to do an interview with him sometime this week. As I said, I can reach people who were on my level of combat experience and combat tragedy, but there are some people who suffered, a little bit deeper, and they live in more of a red zone than that red status than they do in an amber status. And Drew is one of the success stories of someone who suffered a tragedy, and I've worked with him for many years, and he's a good guy, and I think a lot of people can see that they can make it if they see someone who came from that much of a tragedy and is still a success story. So hopefully I can get an interview with Drew. But as Drew and I were talking today, he did mention something, and it clicked with me that we're trying to get back to green. Our happy space is reminding us of the clearing barrel. When we went to the clearing barrel, we knew we were safe. So when you feel yourself getting amped up because no one wants to make a decision on who the heck's gonna take the trash out, calm down. Remind yourself you're at the clearing barrel. We'll go through the steps in your mind and help yourself to kind of decompress. But why? Why do we get that way? Why does when somebody moves something on our desk, or why does when your spouse or significant other not understand why you lay your stuff out a certain way or whatever it is? And Drew and I, he was talking to me, and he mentioned something to me that is so true. We have become institutionalized, whether we want to believe that or not. It doesn't mean you got to go to prison to be institutionalized. The military is an institution. Now, whether you've done, I don't think you really get an institutional foothold dug in you at about 3 years. But if you do 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, like I did, 26 years, that many years you become institutionalized. And if you go to combat in those years, there's certain mantras that you rehearse. You know, when you go to bed at night, you put all your stuff in a certain area, because if something pops off, you ain't got time to cut the light on and be digging through dresser drawers to find what you need to look for. You don't need to figure out where somebody put your shoes. And maybe your spouse doesn't understand that when she takes your shoes from where you put it and then sits it somewhere else, you get up in the morning, you flip freaking pancake. She just doesn't understand it, or he doesn't understand it, and they think you're freaking bonkers. No, we're not bonkers. We're institutionalized. If we put something in one place, that is so we get up in the morning, we know that it's there. And if it's not there, our brain starts calculating, working backwards. Where's the last place you have this, numbnut? Why did you lose it? You just lost something. No, we didn't lose anything. You moved something that I knew where it was supposed to be at, and I'm flipping pancake right now. So I'm saying that to say we also have to recognize our own institutionalized mindset. That we have been programmed to do certain things, certain ways, and then when we retire, we kind of like want to just cut the string. No more physical exercise. We're going to eat whatever the heck we want. We're going to do whatever we want, and then in 5 years we're dead. And the average life expectancy after retirement is 5 years. And the reason why is because we figure no one is making me do this stuff anymore. I'm not doing it. And our health, 9 times out of 10, falls to flip apart. Our mental health, our physical health, we alienate ourselves, and the next thing we know, we're trying to figure out what the hell went wrong, and this is why. So you got PTSD further exacerbated by being institutionalized, and then you're taking those two things and putting them together, and then you're trying to reintegrate yourself back into society. Think about this, everyone. If someone goes to prison for a significant amount of time, 5 years or more, they usually sit in a halfway house for about 1 year to 2 years to gradually integrate themselves back into society. We get 1 year at tops when you retire. It's not even a full year, because most of the time you're still on duty, pulling duty and doing all that other stuff while you're ACAPing, but you are still deeply ingrained in that institutionalized system. It's not like your last year in the Army, you get to wear civilian clothes to work. You get to start calling everybody by their first name. You get to kind of like ease into normal society. That doesn't happen. That's just not how the Army works. You get 1 year to try to find a job, write a resume, pray to God the job you get is going to give you enough money so that you can keep feeding yourself, unless you're retired as a field grade officer. But if you got kids that still got to go to college, you can't be working at freaking dollar store for $10 an hour and you still got kids to go through college. So there's a lot of stress. Not to mention, they're still putting you on the staff duty roster. Well, he's retiring. He can still pull staff duty. So you're still deeply ingrained in that institutional system. And then you get out and you get into the real world and you're in the world with all these other people. You ain't been to no halfway house. You're trying to figure that you're trying to build the plane while you're flying it. So what I'm trying to say is it's a process. And for me, I've been retired almost 5 years. And I'm just starting to stop calling everybody sir and ma'am. I'm starting to be able to say, hey, Tom, what's going on? Hey, Bob, good to see you. Man, my first 2 years in the Army, it was sir, ma'am, for everybody who was a civilian. I just, yes, sir, no, ma'am. Yes, sir. I don't care if they were 19 years old. Yes, sir, no, ma'am. Institutionalized. It wasn't even a second thought. Now I'm able to call people, hey, what's going on, Joe? Hey, how's it going? Hey, what's up? People would look at you like, hey, man, my name's Jeff, man. You can call me Jeff. Oh, yes, sir, no problem. No problem, sir. No, man, it's Jeff. Just call me Jeff. It took me 3 years just to be able to call people by their first name. So it's a process. I'm telling you this because I don't want you to feel like you're a failure because you can't integrate yourself back into society the day after you retire or the day after you get medically retired. It's a process. And if you got PTSD, that's a multiplying factor. Don't give up. Just take your time. When you get frustrated, go to your clearing barrel. Take a deep breath. Understand that They grew up in a democratic society. We didn't grow up in a democratic society. We had the certain hardline rules and doctrine that we lived by and things that we had to do. And it worked for us because it worked in the society that we were in. And some of us flourished. I enjoyed it. I would never say anything bad about the military. I had some of the greatest times and met some of the most wonderful people, went to some of the greatest countries, experienced all kinds of things in the military. I encourage anyone listening, if you want to join the military, join it. I don't care. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard. That's up to you. But, I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the people. And I met good friends. And so many of you have reached out to me since I've been doing this. And I really appreciate it. I mean, hey, I wasn't a perfect soldier. Not at all. I had a rocky beginning. Desert Storm. Nobody knew what PTSD was when I got back from Desert Storm. I mean, you didn't even go to, you didn't go fill out a piece of paper to say did you see anything. We got off the plane, handed our weapons to some kid. Our duffel bags got handed to us. I signed my leave form on the back of a Toyota, and then I got in a truck with my mom and dad. Next thing I know, 6 hours later, I was at my house. Integrate nothing. I was like sand home. Nobody knew about it. I mean, nobody had put an investment in trying to figure out, hey, is this guy gonna be all right? They didn't care. Nobody knew about it back then, but we do now. And that's why I'm here trying to help. I got plenty of years of dealing with this and trying to drink myself stupid and trying to do dumb stuff and just doing dumb stuff and suffering consequences and my career being slowed up by some of the stupid things that I did and not paying attention to how people were writing my NCOERs because I didn't care. I just wanted to get drunk. So I'm saying that to say this. Calm down, Rocky. I'm saying that to say this. It's my dog, not an imaginary friend. I'm not going crazy on camera. So, listen. Understand that you were institutionalized for a long period of time. It's a process to uninstitutionalize yourself. So don't give up. Don't give up, guys. If you're sitting there right now and you feel like giving up, don't give up. You can make it. I've been retired 5 years, and I'm telling you, every day ain't perfect for me. I have some days where I just shut my door in my office. Just leave me alone. I got to try to figure this out. All right? So look, this is my video for tonight. I want you guys to remember, 22 veterans commit suicide each day. 3.86. Still don't know who that 0.86 is, but commanders, NCOs, leaders, troop your line. Ask those warriors if they're doing okay. Be sincere in what you're doing. Understand, you better be sincere because one of them may take you up on that offer and you may have an opportunity to save somebody's life. I'd like to say thank you to my good friend Michael Broussard, Brian Jensen, Michael Burnett. Love you, man. Hall, you can make it. You're going to be all right, brother. Keep your head up. Everybody else struggling out there, Desert Storm veteran group, artillery group, you guys going to be okay, man. Hey, you're not by yourself. We can make it. Look at me. I'm doing all right. Every day ain't going to be peaches, but I'm doing okay. All right? Love you guys. Take care of yourself. Know that you can make it. If you're a believer in your faith, if you're not a believer, that's up to you. But hey, don't give up on God. He's not going to give up on you. Hang in there. It's going to be all right. You guys can make it. All right? If you're doing something stupid right now, stop it. Stop it. At ease. Put that down. Just worry about making it through today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Just make it through today, and then tomorrow set a goal to make it to the next. Live it one day at a time, people. One day. No long-term calendars here. Short-term. Make it from today to the next day. And then we'll piece your victories together. All right, everybody. Peace out.